Hi, everyone. Welcome to our market update. David is having some technical difficulties, but he plans to be here. I'm just going to jump into the numbers and see if when he gets here, if everything should work out. So hopefully that'll work out. Give me a second. We want to keep it nice and sweet for everyone. Going over the numbers, if you've watched us before, again, we finally ticked over that 3,000 threshold of properties in San Diego County. A big jump down from where we were, again, about 2 years ago, but a big jump up from where we were a couple months ago. Okay, so the market, what does that mean? More inventory, more options, more opportunities. If you're not looking at coming soon properties, you're missing out. 178 coming soon properties currently on the market. Okay, so something to really think about. Going over the numbers now. Now, when we're talking about all these numbers, let me take the screen off and bring it up. So we're saying more inventory is coming on the market. And let me pull that up right here. Okay. So this is STR right here. All right. So a little bit of jump. We were talking about a drastic jump from January, 650, okay, for detached townhomes, twin homes, row homes, and those kind of properties. It's a 760 now, or 760 a month ago, but only a tad bit of a jump to the market just more recently. All right. So as more inventory is coming out there, we're seeing kind of that plateau of the market. So it'll be interesting to see how the market changes a little bit over the next month when we talk about the median home sales. Okay, we are seeing somewhat of a slowdown to the market. So my projections are that we're going to see basically that 765 number either be fairly close to where it sits, just like it was in May. Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Sorry about the delay. I have to use this thing called a computer, which, as some of you may know, sometimes there's glitches. So I apologize for that. But here we are, back in business. What do we got going on, my friend?
You got a little bit of a lag right there. So I'm not sure if it's on my end, if people watching, feel free to comment if David is lagging. Next Monday. It's definitely got a little lag. So next Monday, we're gonna have basically random questions to ask any kind of real estate questions. So if you have questions, particular questions that you're interested about real estate, doesn't matter what it is, can my 15-year-old child buy a house? Whatever the question is, no dumb answers. We want all the questions out there.
Can I have a meth lab?
Yeah, David is lagging.
Oh man, that's terrible.
I think you're better. I think you're better now. I don't know if he's talking about basically your Wi-Fi connection or if he's trying to say some slangs to you, saying that you're lagging behind basically with the knowledge.
I think it's probably some client slang, but my Wi-Fi says I have full signal, but my wife says I'm only operating on half signal.
Okay. Well, you are doing better now. So I'm going to get it to you. You are doing better now.
Well, we got some big news. So for those of you out there who don't have the internet, there was actually some really big news released today. So for those of you who are refinancing, a couple months ago, they put this thing into the market called a adverse market fee, which basically meant that Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, government agencies, they were all charging you an extra half a point to refinance your house. They just removed that today. So what does that mean to you? It means on Monday or this afternoon, most lenders should have repriced already. So you may want to look into that because the reprices are massive. And then Monday, I expect it to be even better. So if you're thinking about the refinance now, the rates just got better today because of that adverse market fee being removed. So look for much better interest rates on this Monday. And that's basically going to be for all those people refinancing. I am anticipating some other stuff to change too, Vinnie, because what you mentioned earlier about more listings coming on, and then what me and you talked about on Monday about this weird thing that is called inflation that the Fed says doesn't exist. But for those of you who, use food and energy, they say it doesn't exist to you, but you'll notice it when you store. So now that we may get some more changes to make lending a little bit easier to help borrowers. And so that's going to maybe help us with the more inventory coming onto the market to make it actually easier for people to get in without having to cut off one of their fingers and give up their first child with their offer?
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, definitely. I mean, understanding what you're offering and what you maybe be taking away and giving up when you structure an offer. That's a really strong conversation you should have with your realtor to figure out the pros and cons of your offer. Because sometimes you're giving away stuff, but it might be stuff that you might not necessarily need to the full extent that it's structured in the generic offer. So things to really talk about with your client. Now, going over these market stats, people have been loving these, so we're going to keep doing them. Going over Logan Heights. If you're not familiar with Logan Heights, it's somewhat of an affordable area to purchase in. When you
has it been genderfying?
Parts of it have been genderfying. So if you've looked at it, we've been seeing about 22%, mostly across the board, the jumps, right? And in this one right here, we're talking again about 20%. Now, Coronado, that's a little bit of a higher of a price point. That's at 16%. But I mean, again, mostly we've been seeing about a 22% jump. Coronado. In June, we're talking about a 22% jump, but across the board, 16. And then Fallbrook, 25% jump. So if you balance out all those thresholds right there, all those numbers, I mean, again, it's going to push you at that close to that 22% jump. Fallbrook, I mean, it has a lot more community usually with it, a lot more land with it, so something to think about. But all those pockets right there are at least giving you options to purchase in. So if you are looking to purchase, maybe you weren't able to find something the last couple of months, it might be a really good time to look at it today, tomorrow, over the next month or so. Do you foresee, David, rates trickling back up, or how long do you think they're going to sit where they're sitting?
You know, that's an interesting question, because a couple of different economic things we went over this week. You have some people who think that rates are going to rise like dramatically, like a half a point to 0.75. Personally, I don't think that can happen because our market will be utterly decimated. I mean, if that happens, you're going to talk about all these equity gains that people bought. Like literally, like if you bought a year ago, your house was probably up 20% in value.
Yeah, I mean, you saw right there with the three locations we're talking about, Logan Heights, Coronado, Fallbrook, you saw that 20 or 16 to 25% jump, but across the board, you're probably talking about 22% jump.
Yeah, so for those of you who said real estate's a bad investment, where are you going to get 20% rate of return leveraged on a minimal down payment? Massively huge, good investment. It's still a great hold. But to circle back to where rates are, I think they're going to stay low. I do think they have to trickle up a tad little bit, but I think there's going to be a bumpy road going on over the next couple months to where certain days and pockets you're going to be able to lock in a smoking deal. And then other days, I think you're going to watch all of a sudden it's going to spike up like 0.375 instantly in a day. And a lot of that, I'll go out and say this right now, when the new Fed chair comes into play, because the gentleman Powell is going to get fired in the new year. When he gets fired and replaced by the current administration, I think you're going to see a very interesting turn of events for what's going to happen with inflation and debt. And so you guys can mark that on your calendars, but I'm looking for an extremely interesting turn of events for inflation and debt when the new Fed chair comes in. But other than that, I think it's a bumpy road the next couple months, and your lender better be watching economics, because if they're not watching economics and they just tell you, oh, just lock it today, you may end up losing a lot of stuff on the table.
And I mean, if rates trickle up, we're talking about more inventory hitting the market, the moratorium going away, forbearances trickling away. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting August, September, October.
You do realize, Vinnie, that foreclosures are less than 1%.
Yeah, no, foreclosures are ridiculously low right now. I mean, we're talking about, I looked at the other day, I want to say we were at 300 defaults, notice to defaults. And I mean, if we're talking about 3,000 properties currently in market, and then 300 properties are currently in default. Yeah.
So that's the one. That's to, put the thread through the needle. That is 1%. But you have to realize that default rate
Well, it's 10%. No, 10%.
took yeah, it's 10%. That default rate took over 6 months to a year to get where it's at.
Oh yeah, there's defaults that are not really currently active. There are defaults that are previously in play, but we're talking about what's going to happen in the next couple of months when that number trickles up, because that number is going to trickle up. We're going to see a big
I don't know.
jump.
I disagree. I don't think you're going to have people defaulting. I think there's too much equity in the houses, and I think they'll be.
You can still have the default even if there's equity in there. I mean, there's a lot of people where you have default, but people don't think it's. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people where they're in second position and they're getting in default on their second position. I've talked to other people where they just don't think it's really there. They say that the loan was not right. So sometimes that issue of being in default and actually having equity are two different things. Anyways, we're at 11 minutes right now. We're going to talk to you more about this and any other question you might have. Please reach out to us next Monday after the market update. We're going to do basically random questions. Ask anything. Can a cat buy a house? Can a dog buy a house? Can I buy a house with no money down? Whatever the question is, no stupid questions. We'll try to not have any stupid answers. Thank you, everyone.
We can't guarantee that.
Can't guarantee it. Bye, guys.